Hi, my name is Sokolowski and I'm a nutritional therapist. Today I'd like to talk to you about healthy fats and the dangers of vegetable oils, which may come as a surprise to you. So vegetable oils like sunflower, safflower, corn, peanut and sesame have been promoted for decades as a heart-healthy alternative to the so-called dangerous saturated fats. There's a problem with this though. All of these oils are really high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now the omega-6 fatty acid to the omega-3 fatty acid ratio in your diet determines inflammation. If you're eating a lot of omega-6 fatty acids and not so many omega-3 fatty acids, that ratio is high. That's linked to a lot of inflammatory conditions from cardiovascular disease, cancer, autoimmunity, type 2 diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, and even irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease, so things like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Our ancestors probably ate a ratio of about 1:1 omega-6 to omega-3. Possibly that ratio may have been as high as 3:1 or 4:1. In the modern diet, we're eating 10:1 to 20:1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and some individuals are possibly eating as high as 25:1 omega-6 to omega-3. So that could be 25 times as much as what our ancestors were eating. And this is probably one of the key drivers behind the epidemic of chronic disease that we're seeing today. So avoid vegetable oils. I'd like to explain what a fatty acid is. A fatty acid is a chain of carbon atoms with hydrogens attached and what's called a carboxyl group at one end. Now each carbon atom, to put it simply, wants to bond with 4 other atoms, but sometimes it bonds with, say, only 3 atoms, which means the 4th bond needs to form a double bond. So you see this in the fatty acid. You'll see 2 carbons with a double bond between them, and each carbon is bound to only 2 other atoms rather than 3 other atoms. Now because these carbons, both of these carbons at each end of double bond, they still want to bind to a 4th atom with this double bond. So the double bond is quite reactive. So a fatty acid with 1 double bond is a monounsaturated fatty acid, so it's a little bit reactive. If there's more than 1 double bond in between carbon atoms in the fatty acid, that makes it a polyunsaturated fatty acid, which makes it even more reactive. Now this is why when you buy flax oil or fish oil, the instructions on the bottle say to keep it in the fridge and it's in a dark bottle, because when exposed to light, oxygen and heat, a fatty acid, if it's polyunsaturated, it's very reactive, it will go rancid very quickly. So these vegetable oils are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are polyunsaturated fatty acids, and when you cook with them, that makes them very reactive, so they become lipid peroxides, which cause even more inflammation in your body. So avoid vegetable oils. Another fat that's been promoted as a heart-healthy alternative to saturated fats is margarine. Now margarine is a trans fat, it's hydrogenated vegetable oil. It's vegetable oil that's been treated with hydrogen to make it solid and stable and to give it a shelf life. The reason it has a shelf life is because microbes don't really see it as a food, rightly so, and they leave it alone. And in humans it's been linked to inflammation and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke and type 2 diabetes. Hydrogenated vegetable oil is also known as vegetable ghee, so go for real dairy ghee instead, and it's found in many processed foods, otherwise known as trans fats. So avoid trans fats and avoid vegetable oils. So what kind of oils and fats should you be including in your diet? Well, nuts and seeds tend to contain more omega-6 than omega-3, except for flax and chia seeds. However, a handful of nuts a day has been shown to be beneficial for heart health and for reducing your risk of osteoporosis. So choose nuts rather than seeds because they have less of the omega-6 fats. You'll then still want to balance with some omega-3 intake. So flaxseed and chia seed do have omega-3 fatty acids. These are short chain fatty acids and your body needs to convert them to longer chain omega-3 fatty acids that your body uses both to reduce inflammation and for your brain and nervous system. This conversion doesn't usually occur very well in most individuals. It needs a few enzymatic steps, and only a small portion of the omega-3 fatty acids are converted into the longer chain ones that you need. So a better way is to use fish oil or eat oily fish. Avoid the more toxic tuna, swordfish and farmed salmon, and focus instead on wild salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines and herring for your omega-3 fatty acids. Now you can also get a good omega-3 to omega-6 profile in grass-fed meat. The grass contains short-chain omega-3 fatty acids, and the animal converts these to the longer-chain omega-3 fatty acids that your body needs. So it has to be grass-fed rather than grain-fed. Grains are not natural food for cows, say, and they cause inflammatory meat that's high in omega-6 fats and low in omega-3 fats. So that's a good way to ensure your omega-3 intake. Now you can cook the meat and the fish and even ground flaxseed, and the omega-3 won't decompose because it's not exposed to oxygen. If you're vegetarian, you may want to supplement with an algal form of omega-3, which these supplements have come onto the market in recent years and are now available. Also beneficial for heart health are monounsaturated fatty acids. These are found in olives, extra virgin olive oil, avocados and macadamia nuts. Now extra virgin olive oil, it's monounsaturated, but you can cook with it because although it has some reactivity because it's monounsaturated, it also has plenty of antioxidant polyphenols which protect the oil from breaking down. Now the other fat that you can benefit with, and this is where you might find this a bit of a shock because we've been given a very different message over the last several decades, is saturated fats. So saturated fatty acids don't have any double bonds, which makes them stable and non-reactive. So these are the best oils generally to cook with other than extra virgin olive oil. So you could use an animal fat like a lard or duck fat or goose fat, but it's more common and easy to use something like coconut oil or butter or ghee from organic grass-fed cows. Now why organic grass-fed cows? Because the grass not only provides omega-3 fatty acids for the meat, but it also provides vitamin K1. Now the gut flora of a cow will convert vitamin K1 to vitamin K2, which is an important nutrient for heart health. If the cow's not eating grass, it won't get the vitamin K1. If it's not an organic cow and it's being fed antibiotics, it won't have the gut flora to convert the vitamin K1 to vitamin K2. So this is why the butter and ghee should be from organic grass-fed cows. Now, I mentioned before that polyunsaturated fatty acids, which include omega-3, omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids, decompose when cooked. But they also decompose in your body and they oxidize and damage your arteries. And actually, if you have saturated fats, they provide a protective effect against this happening. So that's another reason to include some saturated fats in your diet. The one thing about saturated fats, the one caveat, is that with any fat actually, they can carry endotoxins from bacteria in your gut across into your bloodstream, and this can cause a lot of inflammation. This is especially the case with coconut oil because these are medium chain fatty acids which get absorbed really rapidly. They don't even need bile to get absorbed, and they carry over the endotoxins from the bacteria and cause inflammation. So the way to avoid this is, with your meal that includes the fats, also include plenty of brightly coloured vegetables, herbs and spices which provide antioxidant polyphenols to reduce the inflammation. So, to summarise, avoid vegetable oils, avoid margarine and trans fats found in processed foods and vegetable ghee, eat a handful of nuts a day, but balance with some omega-3s, which could maybe come from flax and chia, but if you're vegetarian you probably want an algal omega-3 supplement. And for other people, have oily fish or even some grass-fed meat, avoiding the more toxic tuna and farmed salmon and swordfish, so focusing on wild salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines and herring. Get some monounsaturated fatty acids from olives, extra virgin olive oil, avocado and macadamia nuts, and enjoy saturated fats from lard, which is great for cooking, or also temperature stable coconut oil, butter and ghee from organic grass-fed cows. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening.